Spanish Grand Prix took place about a week ago, and we've just woken up from our what's it called, a siesta over in Spain, because the race was that boring. Like literally, you were better off watching paint dry. It was that boring, and it was a big disappointment from a season that we had high expectations for. Let's not forget that. In testing, we were expecting a really good season with really quick cars, better overtaking and everything. And what we're getting is a Mercedes domination and no racing whatsoever. And everyone is just annoyed. Let's put it like that. Going on Twitter, giving out their thoughts and everything. It's just been an absolute outrage, if you like. And Formula 1 fans in general, and myself and you guys as well, have had enough. And the question, as you can see by the topic, is why is Formula 1 boring? Why are we not happy and satisfied that we are watching this sport that we do love, and we are not happy when we are coming away from watching a Grand Prix? Now, if you are enjoying what we are doing around here, then please subscribe. If you are new around here, we're trying to hit a target of 550 subscribers before the British Grand Prix, which we are going to, and we have some really good content coming up for that particular Grand Prix. So now that's out the way with. And as you can see, I'm on my Jean Todd again for this week. Lal is still away at the moment. And as you've probably seen, he was at the Spanish Grand Prix. He's going to Monaco, but again, I'll let him explain what on earth is going on in his situation. He is making a video about that, so I'll get him to explain what is going on when he gets back. So I'm on my own, so I've got to do with the best I can and only give my opinion. I can't ask anybody else until you get later on in the video, but we'll get onto that in a little bit. So yes, I wasn't a fan of the Spanish Grand Prix. I was really upset. I was bored again from, yes, alright, the Spanish Grand Prix, we weren't expecting much of it, but as like I said in the review, we were expecting a bit more, or expected a bit more than what we did see. I think there was like, what, 1-2 overtakes, I think there was just nothing happening whatsoever. The start was good. Vettel had a really good, look down the inside of them. They're both Mercedes drivers, cocked it up, ruined his tyres, and pretty much normal service resumes. Mercedes go away in the distance. Ferrari just left pondering as to what the hell's going on, and Red Bull's in no man's land. Not quick enough to challenge the top two, sorry, but not slow enough to be able to go into the midfield pack. So Red Bull's in Wonderland, no man's land. They're just like, ooh, I can't see anyone around us at the moment. So obviously they're all up in arms and everything. So as soon as that Grand Prix finished, immediately I went, right, I know exactly what to talk about in the next F1 debate show, which is why is F1 boring. There's two main things as to why I think Formula 1 is boring. I'm just going to glaze over, because I believe that it is involved, but it isn't the main reason. And the other reason is my opinion as to why we aren't enjoying the racing. Not every Grand Prix is going to be brilliant, I understand that. But so far, only one Grand Prix this season has been good out of 5. But in the past, we've had loads of races where they've been really good, and then alright, you will have the odd one Grand Prix where it's bad, or even like 2 Grand Prix in a row where they are boring. I understand, yes, but and from last season, we had loads of boring races last season. We had more boring than entertaining races. That shouldn't be the case. Formula 1 is an entertainment, and that's how it should always be. So let me know your opinions in the comment section below. Why is Formula 1 boring in your own words? And again, we'll reply to them. We'll look at them. We love how you guys commented as well on the review. Absolutely brilliant, and you have done justice as well for yourself in this episode as well. So the cost, the money side of Formula 1. This is something that I believe that is kind of why we aren't enjoying the sport as much, because the money is just favouring the big teams and not favouring the small teams. Now, what I mean by this is that the most money is going to the likes of Mercedes and Ferrari, who are able to pull away from the midfield pack, or the other teams rather, and the least money is going to the bottom teams. So when you see the likes of Williams, the likes of Alfa Romeo, Toro Rosso, who aren't really competing, they're all at the back, and they're not able to have a shout on the podium unless utter carnage comes about and the top 3 all of a sudden get wiped out. Then they have a bit of a sniff, and then obviously the team has to kind of like take over from themselves and to be able to get the car on the podium. So yes, the money side of things, it just isn't fair, if you like, from what I'm saying, the stats wise anyways. So I've got the figures from the 2018 prize money. And again, this is from racefans.net as well. They did a nice little graph. It made me really understand where the money all went, to be fair. So I'll probably leave a link somewhere in the description. So go and check that graph out if you haven't already. But obviously, we're not in any partnership or anything. I think they're just a really good website. So I seem to get all my stuff from there anyway. So I haven't done any research on this kind of thing whatsoever. But yes, it is quite shocking to once you actually fully discover what is going on. So each team gets $35 million, all in dollars. If I do say pounds in the video, I do apologise, because obviously I'm from England. So dollars, every team gets $35 million, regardless of what happens. However, to get that $35 million, the team has got to finish in the top 10 for 2 of the past 3 seasons. Now, it's all easy going now because there are only 10 teams in the grid, so you're thinking, well, alright, well, what's the problem in that? The problem is that when new teams come into the helm, for example, the most recent team in Haas, and new teams wanting to come into the sport, rumours like Aston Martin coming in, Prima coming in, ART rumoured to be coming in, all that kind of thing. When they're looking at what money is on offer, they're going to look at this and go, well, for us to get this $35 million, we've got to be in Formula 1 for at least 3 seasons, and that might not be enough for us to be able to get the sponsors, to be able to get the car or the team up, as high the grid as we possibly can, to be able to get some more prize money to keep us going for another season, or to be able to be, to get to that position where we can get this £35 million. So Haas joined Formula 1 in 2016. They wouldn't have got this £35 million until 2018, which they did for the first time. And all they had to rely on was sponsorships, money from the drivers' properties as well, and their finishing position from the constructors in the previous seasons, which isn't enough. It was like, what, 25, 30 million, which sounds a lot, but in Formula 1, it isn't a lot. In fact, I'm probably exaggerating there. I'm probably saying about 15, 20 million pounds, which isn't a lot in Formula 1 when you find out what the big teams are getting. So yes, you get £35 million, which all the teams got, fair enough. So, and then you have your money where, obviously, the higher you finish, the more you get. So Mercedes got $6 million, who finished top, and Williams, who finished bottom, only got $15 million. Now that is a big gap. To be fair, I think $15 million for Formula 1 it's like what? It's shrapnel, if you like, in Formula 1. £6 million for Mercedes. Is it too much? I don't think it's too much, but I think that the money from the bottom teams could be pushed up just a little bit. Toro Rosso finished in 9th place, got $70 million. Sauber, Alfa Romeo now, $21 million. Racing Point, who were called Force India, had a name change, $24 million. McLaren, $32 million. Haas, $35 million. Renault, 38. Red Bull, 46. And Ferrari, 56. So you can see how much of a gap there actually is from the big teams and the small teams in terms of prize money. Not a big gap, but a gap where it's just quite uncomfortable. So then you go, right, okay, that's that money sorted. But then this is where it gets really interesting. You have what is called an LST, which is called long-standing team, which Ferrari are the only team to get this bonus of $73 million. They're getting more for being the longest team in Formula 1 than, or for being there, for being there the longest, being there since day one, than Mercedes are for winning the whole championship. That's a bit bizarre, isn't it? £15 million for Williams for finishing bottom, and $73 million for Ferrari for what? For showing up? That's ridiculous. That's absolutely that is just ridiculous for me. And then you have the CCB, which is the Constructors something bonus, I think it is. Oh, sorry, the Constructors Championship bonus, that was it. Which Mercedes, Ferrari get $41 million, Red Bull get 36, McLaren get $33 million, and then you have the other bonuses. I don't know what this other bonus actually means, but Mercedes get $35 million, Red Bull get $35 million, and Williams get $10 million. I believe that these other bonuses are the teams that have actually won Constructors in the past. Now, you probably think, well, Renault won Constructors. Yes, but this is a totally new team now. This isn't the same Renault one it was back in 2005, 2006. They've changed the Lotus, then came back as Renault, so that doesn't really count. So Ferrari got the most money in $205 million. Toro Rosso got the least amount of money in $52 million. that's again that's just huge. You know, how on earth can these little teams compete against the big teams and to be able to push up the grid if they can't have the financial money? And I think that, you know, having this system put in place, it's ridiculous. It's just to favour the bigger teams, and I think this is one reason why Formula One isn't boring, because you know who's going to be at the top, you know who's going to be there. The team with the most money is going to be at the top. The team with the least money is at the bottom. Yes, all right, Mercedes aren't going to go, you know, they're not going to be dethroned yet, but in 2021 the regulations change. You know, the engine regulations change again. Money gets evenly dispatched a bit better than what it is now, which is good. So that's something to look forward to. But there will be some sort of loophole around it where, you know, the bigger teams might get more money somehow. I just think that the money side of things does need to be better, and it needs to stop, because I do believe that the big teams will find a way around it somehow. Obviously, if you guys agree with me, let me know in the comment section below. So the money side of things is it's part of it, I believe, where, like, yes, the big teams get the most money, so they're going to be even further ahead. So you're not going to have, essentially you're having two championships. You're having the top six against the rest of them, which you have Formula 1.5, which some of the fans have actually made, and actually is pretty funny. But another thing that, now that for me, this is my answer. This is for me is why is Formula One so boring? Why are we having these snooze fests in the middle of a race? It's the cars. It's themselves. Not the engines or anything to do with that. It's the overall design of the cars. So in 2017, for the 2017 season, the cars were, you know, relaunched, if you like. They were like, there was new aeros on the cars. They were made, like, you know, lower, wider, and they were a whole lot faster. The lower the car, the more downforce they could generate, and obviously the faster, the more grip they could have, the faster they could go around corners. I mean, you see a Formula 1 car now, the drivers aren't even fighting with them. It's like glued to the racetrack. It's really, really impressive how fast they are going. I mean, I remember this quite clearly, right? In 2016, Lewis Hamilton got a pole position time of a 1:22 dead. Now, for the most recent Spanish Grand Prix, Valtteri Bottas got a 1:16.5. That is absolutely incredible. That's like, what, 8 seconds faster? That is absolutely amazing how quick these cars actually are. But there's one downside. The cars can't follow each other well enough to be able to generate an overtake. They can't follow them because the cars are being generated into the dirty air, because the airflow, with the shape of the cars, the airflow has been disturbed a lot more. Obviously there's no, like, actual airflow going towards the car behind. It's all going over the car. This is 2017, by the way, let's not forget, and 2018. It's all going over the car, and they're not following. They're not following well. You know, getting understeer, and they can't get into the slipstream to be able to generate an overtake. And this is why we have more KERS, more ERS, MGUH, DRS becoming stronger in 2019. So for the 2019 season, they seen what's going on and thought, right, let's change a couple of things. So the rear wing on a Formula 1 car was quite low. It's now been raised a bit wider. The front wing, more simpler. Obviously, you had all these, like, weird, like, air rakes and everything on the front wing. It's now just, that's all cleared. It's all tidier so that the car behind a following car could follow the car a bit longer and a bit better, and to be able to have a better chance of an overtake. But that's not the case. That doesn't seem to be the case, weirdly enough. You know, like, and for some reason these cars again aren't responding to this. It's just like the exact same. They might have a couple of opportunities, you know, better opportunities than you would last season. But again, there's just nothing. There's just no real overtaking. There's no proper racing still, and we're still in the same kind of situation. We're just going around the loopholes here. It's like a broken record. It's just on repeat. So, like, yes, so it's just not good that we're still seeing the same problem what we seen last season. And yet again, obviously the regulations changed again in 2021. Let's hope that the cars can follow closely a bit better, you know, in 2021. And it's just not working, is it? And this is how it's going to be for the remainder of the season. All right, you might have one race where it might be really, really good, and it's just not happening, is it? And the cars obviously are a lot wider than what they used to be, and that's again having problems at tracks like Spain, like Monaco, like, which is coming up now. Spain, yes, I know Spain wasn't a really breathtaking track. It's always been a quite difficult track to overtake. but it's now even harder to overtake in a track like that. In Monaco, I mean, these cars are so wide, it's just literally going to be like a tiny little space either side of a barrier in Monaco, and it's just going to be like, right, whoever's in pole position, you may as well just give him the winner's trophy now. And a lot of fans are looking forward to the Monaco Grand Prix. I am personally. I do like the Monaco Grand Prix, but it is going to be a bit of a bore fest unless we get utter carnage like we do see in Monaco, and you have a couple of crashes where, you, as the saying goes, you blink for a second, you blink and you miss, you're in the barriers, race is over. That could happen to absolutely anyone. Monaco doesn't forgive drivers that lose their concentration for about a split or even a tenth of a second just for a split second. So that could be something to look forward to, but we can't just rely on crashes all the time. We are coming up to tracks where speed is required, like Austria. There's not many corners on that. It's all about speed. Monza, that is a temple of speed. So are we going to see some good things like that? Are we going to see some really positive races in the future? We might have a handful of them, but not loads. DRS is more. It's been widened. That's been improved to be able to help the cars go. To be able to overtake cars better. But we can't just rely on DRS all the time. It's not Formula DRS. It's Formula One. We need to keep that old heritage of racing, not just following each, the car behind all the time. Like a train, like I think someone shared a meme where it was like a little toy train where it had Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, and the Williams at the back. It was all connected. Like, oh, I can't wait for the Monaco Grand Prix. I think that's what the Monaco Grand Prix is going to be honest with you. But yes, so when you're watching Formula One for the first time, you want to be entertained. You want to be thrilled. You want to be like, oh, I want to see two guys battling for a position. And if they can't do that, then what's the point in watching? Because let's say, I don't know, when it all comes to like the strategy wise of things, so obviously for the pit stops, let's say a car gets undercut or overcuts a car in the pits, that, well, it's going to be quite hard to overtake when when pit stops are now finished, when there's no more pit stops in the race, or scheduled pit stops that is, then that the car ahead is going to, more or less, is going to finish unless the car breaks down. But if it's a Mercedes, it's quite reliable, so it isn't going to break down. Ferraris are quite reliable. They're not going to break down. So it's just like, yeah, right, Mercedes are going to win again. So it's like, it literally is. The guy who goes into turn one and goes away with it, that's it. Race won as far as I'm aware, so the race is done. Pretty much the Spanish Grand Prix or the Monaco Grand Prix or whatever Grand Prix it is, from the starting grid to turn one, and that's it. It's done. Race is finished. We know who's won. So it is boring. It is rubbish, and it is a bit pathetic. But the problem is I remember this saying. I don't know who said it, but I remember something when. Obviously, flash your mind back to 2014 when we had the new V6s, we had the new sound, we didn't like them, it was just rubbish. We were like, what on earth are we listening to? This isn't Formula One. And there was mass, people going on social media, angering them, going at the FIA, being very, very angry and very, very disappointed, and just saying, bring back the V8. But I don't know who said it, but they've always said that this guy said that the FIA will never ever do that, or Bernie will never ever do this, because they don't want to look like idiots and go back on themselves and have a decision that they thought was right turned out to be wrong. So if they were to go back on a decision, the FIA would look like idiots, and they don't want to look like idiots, especially the FIA, quite hierarchy in the world of motorsports. They do not want to look like idiots. And it's the same again with this one. They could have just easily reverted back to better regulations or the better aero regulations previously in 2016, if you like, and had better overtaken for the cars and have better racing like what we were seeing. But again, they don't look like they do not want to look like idiots. So I understand that, but at the same time, it is a bit silly. It is a bit ridiculous. And to be fair, I think they should hopefully sort something out for next season to be able to make the racing a bit more better, a bit more closer, because to be fair, I can't really, a lot of us can't really take another Grand Prix like we have seen for the past 4 out of 5 races. So I personally believe that why Formula 1 is boring, it's down to the aeros, it's down to the cars themselves. The FIA have got to take some responsibility into this. Let's hope that something can be changed for next season. I know that regulations change in 2021, like I've already said, but let's hope that something improves for the following, for the future. And let's hope that we do see some very, very entertaining races for the remainder of this season. So since I've been on my own, obviously I haven't been able to talk to someone else about and to give their opinion as well, instead of just giving my opinion. So I put a tweet out on the F1 Debate Show Twitter account. If you haven't followed us already, go and follow us as well, if you don't mind, of course. All of our social medias are below the screen and everything. So obviously, if you haven't already, go and follow us on our social medias. And if you do want to get involved, just go and follow us as well. Notifications on if as well, so you know when we tweet. And you can obviously give us your opinion about any topic that we might suggest. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It depends what it is. If it's a very opinionated one where we do want to get people's opinions, involved, as well, like topics like today, really. Then obviously then this will be the perfect topic if you want to get involved. So hopefully, if you haven't commented or tweeted us before, hopefully that we will be seeing your faces very, very soon. So the first one comes in from @RazOnF1. Go and check out his YouTube channel if you haven't already. And it just basically put, it's not boring unless you it's not boring if you understand it. I understand the sport. I've understood it, since day dot. If I'm honest, there are a couple of things that I want to know more about it, but I wouldn't say it's boring because nobody understands it. I think we do understand it. I think we're just frustrated that we aren't getting the racing that we think that we deserve, or that we do deserve. You know what I mean? Like I said, there's only been one good race this season when there should be really some. All of them should be really good races. Like, I remember the first 4 races in 2018 were absolute belters. They're really, really good. And then throughout the remainder of the season, it got a bit boring and a bit dull. And I think that the Eureka moment in 2019 is kind of gone, where I think we're going to have like a bit spikes where some races will be good. They're not going to be classics, but they're going to be good enough to the point of where we're going to be down the pub with our mates and we're going to be like, oh, I remember the Bahrain Grand Prix, I remember the, the Russian Grand Prix, or the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, or whatever, or the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, or whatever. So, and then we're just going to talk about those particular races rather than talk about the season in general, because we do want to see a really close season at the top and at the midfield, and we want to see more teams getting on the podium, some surprise results. That's what we want to see, instead of it just being, instead of it just being the Ferrari, Mercedes, and the Red Bull. Because I think there's only been 3 guys on the V6s, the V6 era, that have actually been on the podium, that shouldn't have really been there, if you know what I mean. Like, Perez has been up there a couple of times, Lance Stroll has been there. So, in fact, I think it's only been those 2, as far as I'm aware, unless I'm wrong. And obviously, we've seen the Williams guys as well, but there should be more than them. It should be like, the McLarens a lot more as well. Maybe even, the Haas boys, they should be there. The Renault guys, they all should be there or thereabouts in the podium. So instead of it just being like 1, 2, or even 3 teams, if you like. So obviously, there's a lot more to come, hopefully, from them. Next one comes in from at AlScott467. He says the race is generally controlled by mechanics and team orders. The drivers aren't allowed to race anymore. That is very, very true, and that's probably another thing why Formula 1 is boring as well, which I didn't highlight in the first part. Yes, because there are a lot of team orders involved, like we have seen at Ferrari this season. All right, Sebastian, hold position. All right, Leclerc, hold position. Don't battle your teammate. And sometimes, all right, you are going to get that driver that does ignore team orders and overtakes your teammate or whatever, which is like good for us, but for them it'll look bad for Ferrari. The sponsors won't be too happy about this as well, and that kind of like is some of the people that they're trying to keep happy, the sponsors, because they provide some of the money, and they're going to be like, well, I don't want my brand being on a car which is having bad headlines or whatever the next day, which is true. I understand that, but that shouldn't really be a thing. This team orders, the drivers should be allowed to race, and I really do agree with this. But again, this is where money comes involved as well, because these cars are very, very expensive, and if you're like a smaller team like Toro Rosso, and Williams, who are struggling, you can't be able to afford these parts all the time. If your team starts crashing into each other as well, you're not going to take any points, and obviously then you're not going to be able to finish quite high in the standings to be able to get even more money. So I think that, yes, the teams should take a step back from controlling the drivers, and shouldn't really be telling them what to do in terms of driving or in team orders or anything. They should be all gone altogether. But you do get this as well. It is really frustrating, and I think this is one of the downsides in Formula 1. So really, really good point there from Al Scott Photo. At Kid Loves F1 comes in with, main reason is that cars can't follow closely. Again, what I mentioned there in the second part, which is what I believe that this is the proper reason why Formula 1 isn't really that good. I don't get why everyone complains about how DRS is too artificial. Without it, there would be zero, in capitals, overtaken. The cars need to be sorry, I'll start that again. The cars need simpler aero for 2021 so that they aren't as affected by the car in front. Yes, this is what I was saying before, that they do need to sort it out in a way, maybe even for next season, just tweak a couple of things as well, where the cars can properly race and not just follow and just get in the dirty air and lose grip and everything, lose downforce and and all that jazz. And something needs to be done where the racing is a lot better, because like I said, there's going to be more boring races this season than there is entertaining races. I could be wrong with that one, but I'm pretty certain that is going to be the case. At KIYXNI comes in with, I don't know how to say that name, but I've just spelled it. It says better camera work. All right. No one wants to watch Hamilton and Bottas like Williams. Show us more of what's happening in the midfield. The sport is bad when the sport is in a bad place when Haas is the most entertaining part of the race. Obviously, talking about the Spanish Grand Prix when those two were nearly came together in turn one, and Grosjean had to pretty much detour. He got so bored that he actually made his own racing line. He made his own racetrack. He was getting that bored. Yes, the camera work doesn't really, because, well, what can you show if nothing's really happening? You've got to show what's going on in the front, and then obviously then go back down the grid if you like. I don't think the camera work is the main reason, but I understand, yes, you don't want to see the same thing happening time and time again, where Hamilton is lapping, as like you said, the Williams all the time, or the Toro Rossos, or everything like that, week in, week out. But that is what actually happens, and that's, again, coming back to this money thing, that if money was a bit better, maybe the Williams wouldn't be lapped every so often, wouldn't be lapped every single race, and maybe they could be able to challenge for podiums and even race wins for that instance, having a closer race. Closer racing, more unpredictability, like we saw in 2012, 7 different winners from the first 7 races. That is something that we do want to see. Red Bull's on the podium as well. Red Bull's winning races, Ferrari winning races, Williams winning races, and something I never thought I would be seeing anytime soon. So at L Raptos comes in with, and he's a guy that always tweets us as well, so obviously thank you very much for watching and getting involved with us as well, and of course you guys who has done as well. He says, I think people are tired of seeing one team get 5 1-2s in a row. Now I understand that this is Mercedes' success, and they should re-up it. I don't know what I was trying to say there. And that Ferrari is screwed up and should pay the price. But from a fan standpoint, I can also say that this is not really a close season. He goes on to say that people thought it would be. Yes, because in pre-season testing, we all thought that it would be a very, very good season with the Ferrari, having the faster car, and Mercedes being like sandbagging, if you like, having not the faster car. And I think that people were were expecting a lot more than what we have seen already this season. We thought that Honda would bring Red Bull closer to the Mercedes and Ferrari, and that Renault would close the gap to Red Bull at least a bit, but this hasn't happened yet. And in fact, the gaps have opened where fans don't want them to open. So yes, Renault was supposed to be knocking on the door of top 3. They've actually gone backwards instead of forwards. Red Bull, I didn't really know what to expect from Red Bull. Were they going to be knocking on the door for race wins, or were they going to be in the midfield? At the moment, they're in no man's land. Like they're not fast enough for the top 2, but they're not quick, but they're not slow enough to be able to be in the midfield. So it's like the fastest, slowest top 3 midfield team, if you like. That's how I'm going to put it. No man's land for Red Bull. Then he also goes on to say, Mercedes domination may also have contributed to hurting the sport. There were a few Mercedes fans who said that Mercedes domination wasn't hurting the sport, and that other fans suck it up. Then were surprised when F1 lost 33% of its value between 2012 and Liberty Media buying F1. Now, the Mercedes domination now, right, for me, Mercedes domination is not boring the sport at all. Now, a few you might disagree with me on this one because they aren't purely the reason why the sport is boring. Because let's say you have the Mercedes guys for all the time, but you have some really really entertaining races behind. Would you rather see that? Would you rather see Mercedes winning all the races and having a really really good tight battling midfield at the front, or would you rather see the Mercedes not winning so much but having a different winner every now and then, but having really boring racing at the back? Because I would rather see the entertaining racing. You know what I mean? And Mercedes, they've shown us how to work as a team. Like Ferrari have got the car, they have, but the team wise, it's just not something's missing. Like in Williams, for example, there's something missing within the team that they need, and something needs to be changed. But Mercedes are showing everyone how to do it, and you can only applaud them for that. They've got the best car, they've got the best team, they've got the best everything. You know what I mean? And you can't really give them grief for it because that's what they wanted, that's what they do. And if you were in Mercedes' position, you would do the exact same. Or if you were running a team, you would do the exact same. Like, you wouldn't say, right guys, we're not going to spend half as much money on this year's car because I want the grid to catch up. No, Mercedes want to run away with everything. They want to win as much silverware and everything in championships, as they want and as they can, for as long as they need, for as long as they are in the sport. That's what they want to do. So for me, Mercedes, it isn't boring for the sport. It is, yes, I know where you're coming from. Yes, it is boring seeing, all right, it's the same team winning, but 1 minute Bottas, the next minute it's Hamilton. So that's not really that boring. It's just the rest of the field that really frustrates me. And Ferrari, obviously, yeah, Ferrari are frustrating me as well because, and this is probably where this stems from. Like, yes, Ferrari aren't knocking on the door for wins anytime soon, which is what they should be. I think we were expecting them to, and this is where our anger is pretty much coming in at, because we're like, we were close for 2 seasons for having a good close battle because we want the title to go all the way to the wire. This season we had it, we thought it would happen, and it isn't, and we are quite annoyed. Then Lotus Rattle goes on to say, now, I know that there are other factors for that, but the point stands that one force domination, it does get boring. At least Mercedes keep it interesting by allowing Hamilton and Bottas to fight each other, but people want to see a closer championship battles, and that's not happening. Again, fully agree with that. Teams aren't allowing the drivers to fight for it as well. And money wise as well, the teams can't really get any closer to the Mercedes boys. So yes, I understand where you're coming from. It can get boring as well, but it isn't the sole problem. I believe that there is more to it than the Mercedes domination. That they could win all the races for all I care, as long as we see some really really good racing where I'm going to remember the races very very well. And for me, I'm all for it. To be fair, that's not for me. It's not the purely why it's boring. Next week comes in at Matt White Racing. He says it isn't boring. Nobody says football is boring after a 0-0 draw. Barcelona has extremely rarely been exciting. Monaco next won't be the most exciting race either. But because it's Monaco, it always gets away with it. Now, I'm a fan of football. I'm a Newcastle United supporter. So is Lyle, and I used to go to the games all the time. I still do actually. And I've been to football games where one game we would be drawn 0-0, like the game would finish 0-0. But that game's been more entertaining than another game where we've won 2-0 or 3-0. Maybe not 3-0, but 2-0, 1-0, for example. Where, let's say, one team is dominating the game, and then you go off and scrap a goal or two. All right, phew, we won the game, but it doesn't feel like a win because, we got really lucky with that. But with 0-0, it depends what the 0-0 is, because it could be, if it's a 0-0 against a rubbish team, then we could have won that game. It's frustrating. But if it's 0-0 against a big team, then good result. It's exciting. It's good. It's like we drew 0-0 against Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea. That's a good result. But if you draw 0-0 against likes of Fulham and Huddersfield, then it's like, well, no, we should be winning. So you can't really compare it to football because, like, yeah, I understand where you come from. Like, no one says, "Oh, football is boring," but there's loads and loads of football games. Like, you don't just rely on a Man United Man City game for it to be officially football. This is Formula One. This is all we've got in Formula One. Like, we haven't got Formula One. I don't know, local Formula One. We haven't got like reserve Formula One. Like, or we have got Formula Two. I know, but that's not the same. That's it's Formula One, and that's it. That's all we've got. And like, yes, obviously he says that it's not boring, which obviously some fans do think it is boring. Some fans do think that it isn't boring. And like, yes, I think that Monaco isn't going to be that good of a Grand Prix. Spain wasn't that good of a Grand Prix anyway, like what people were saying. And of course, we're having the Dutch Grand Prix coming in soon, which is a track where apparently it is very difficult to overtake. So, as like Sean said on the F1 word, I think he said where that they're getting rid of one track where it's really hard to overtake, and they're bringing in another track which is even harder to overtake. So, could it be the tracks are the tracks to blame for all this as well? Personally, no. As like I've always said, it's the cars, because if you have shorter cars, there's more space to overtake and better racing you are going to get. The last tweet comes in with at Steve Cam F1. He says, many are too quick to forget F1 has always been this way. The rose-tinted glasses effect the rose-tinted glasses effect is rife. 2021 changes will certain. Last tweet comes in at Steve Camp F1. He says, many are too quick to forget. F1 has always been this way. The rose-tinted glasses effect is rife. 2021 changes with certain standard parts, budget caps, and redistribution of prize money should help change this going into the next decade. So I'm going to end this on 2021. This has to be probably the biggest season for the future of Formula One, because they have to get this right. The money, as like I said, it is going to be distributed a bit better, like what he was saying. Better aero, and obviously better design on the cars as well. Obviously going to some different tracks as well. Some new drivers coming in. Is Hamilton going to be there? Is Vettel going to be there? They have to get it right. Mercedes and Ferrari are threatening to pull out because of this. Will they? I hope not. I hope that they do stay and stick around, so that we do get some more teams, so that we do have as many teams as we can on the grid. However, if they do decide to leave, I do hope that we can replace them quite quickly. Get teams that do want to be there and create like a new era of Formula One, because I do believe that 2021 onwards will be a brand new chapter in Formula One. So let's hope that they can get this right. So obviously, if you want to get involved, obviously the tweets don't have to stop there. Tweet us as well. Social medias are below me as I speak on the screen. And if you do want to share your opinions as well, then please go in the comment section below. Leave us your thoughts, and we'll probably reply to this and continue the debate on why is Formula 1 boring. My opinion is that the cars are too wide. They're very, very hard to follow each other. It's too artificial. So, and I think something needs to be changed just a little bit, just for now, just so we can get over the line for 2021. So anyway, guys, this is where I'm going to wrap up this video. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you to everyone who has tweeted us for this particular video. If you do want to get involved with our tweets in the future, then go and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and everything like that, all that good stuff. Go and check us out on there, and obviously any opinions that we might share as well. Don't forget to check out our Monaco Grand Prix preview when that comes out next Thursday. Even though practice is on Thursday for the Monaco Grand Prix, our preview is still coming out on the Thursday. Obviously, I won't be watching practice or anything like that. That will be pre-recorded, so don't come there expecting any news on practice or anything like that. But it will be me. Might have Lau's opinion as well. We don't know about that yet. But it will be with yours truly, and for the Monaco Grand Prix review next week. Go and check them out when those videos come out. So obviously subscribe if you do want to see those videos as well. Like this video if you have enjoyed what you have seen around here. As I said, subscribe if you are new around here as well. 550 subscribers before the British Grand Prix. Let's see if we can get over the line for that. Dislike this video. Tell us why. Tell us why you don't like this video as well. It is very, very hot in the UK at the moment. I have been to work. I am a little bit tired, so maybe I haven't really been as fully concentrated on this video as well. But nevertheless, I have enjoyed this video. And yes, guys, if you have done as well, please like the video. And until next time, I'll see you later.